Hi, my name is Deb and this is DG Reads, and this is my furry sidekick Kylie. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we're here to talk about one of Kylie's favorite foods, popcorn. There's been a lot of talk about popcorn recently, in particular popcorn reads we're talking about because of recent readathons. Last month we had Realmathon, which was hosted by Covers with Cassidy, and this month I'm currently planning on popcorn reading for Escape the Readathon, hosted by Books with Lexi. There's different ways to look at popcorn reads, but essentially you're looking for fun reads, things that are hard to put down. And there are definitely different ways to look at it in my mind. I wound up putting in a mood read for my Escape the Readathon TBR for the popcorn read prompt, but while I was thinking through what I really wanted to read for it, I figured I would like to share some recommendations and also some books that are potentially on my TBR this month for popcorn reads. One of the first authors that immediately comes to mind anytime I need a fun read or a popcorn read is Darcy Coates. And she really just writes an atmospheric and quick and engaging book. One of her recent books is Dead of Winter, and this one is following a group of people who don't really know each other. They are stranded in a cabin in the middle of a storm. They have no way out, and their group leader goes missing, and creepy things keep happening. This one definitely is very thriller with horror elements. There's some gore to it, but it's very much a keep the pages turning type of a thriller. One of my favorite books from Darcy Coates is From Below, and this one is following a diving expedition exploring a sunken ship, and there's a combination of the very real horror of running out of air and people who don't really have the skill level they need for this type of expedition, but also the supernatural. So underwater horror is something that really works well for me, and the tension in this one really kept me going. And it's not a short book, but it doesn't feel at all long because it's just one of those that you can't put down. Something else that works well for me in terms of being a popcorn read is multimedia. So one I'd read recently that I would recommend for this is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. It is following a stage production that's going on, and the story is told entirely through correspondence, emails and the like, and the politics and things going on. There's a mystery element, but the format of having this correspondence just really keeps you thinking, I'll just read the next email, I'll read the next letter, and before you know it, the whole book is over. The one that I picked up as a potential popcorn read for this month is The Twyford Code, same author. This one has audio batch files is the format of this one. I don't really know a lot, but there's transcripts in here, audio files and that type of thing, so definitely still in the mixed media category. A couple others that work really well for me in terms of being multimedia and being books that were easy to binge as a result were The Illuminae Files by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and then more recently I'd read Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera, and that one has a podcast element to it, which helps further the thriller plot. Something else that I would consider a popcorn read is just any book that's just purely fun, where you can just kind of turn your brain off and just go along for the ride. And for that, a series that I've been reading is the Stephanie Plum series by Janet Ivanovich. This is a series that is now well past 30 books, especially if you take into account some of the spin-off between the numbers books that she has done with the series. The premise of these is that Stephanie was out of work. She conned or blackmailed her cousin into giving her a job as a bail bonds agent, and she had no experience doing that, so she blunders a lot. There's a lot of colorful characters, and they really just are good, goofy fun. Are they quality literature? No. They're very formulaic. They pretty much follow the same pattern. There's very little change in the grand scheme of things. Characters don't age. The technology updates, but you don't ever have to worry about the pet in here or Stephanie's grandmother passing away. The author has said that this is just kind of an insulated world, and yes, they now have cell phones instead of pagers, but otherwise you know what you're getting in these. They are silly. They are over the top. There's a lot of junk food. You will be craving junk food by the end of them. I immediately put the audiobook on hold every time a new book comes out, and I always get some laughs out of them. A high-paced thriller can definitely be a popcorn read for me. And a couple that I would recommend in that vein are Drowning by T.J. Newman. This one is following an airplane that crashes in the middle of the ocean and sinks, and there's drama on board of who survives, who doesn't, and the tension of how the people on the outside are going to rescue them potentially, or are they going to be able to. This has, again, an underwater element, which apparently is a thing for me, but also just the fact that airplanes can crash. It gives a little bit of extra tension to this one, and the back and forth between the people outside of the plane and the people inside of the plane and the switches in point of view all keep this moving at a really quick pace. I'd also recommend Blake Crouch in general as an author, in particular Dark Matter and Recursion, where you're dealing with a blend of time and thriller and action, and these books just keep going. I really have enjoyed most of Blake Crouch. I do have a couple more that I want to get to, and definitely look forward to reading more in the future. I mentioned A Good Girl's Guide to Murder earlier as a quick read because it is multimedia. I also think in general YA thrillers and horror work really well for me when it comes to popcorn reads. Another author that I've been reading for those, and I tend to pick up for readathons and such, is Natalie D. Richards. She has a bunch of YA thrillers, and they're really quick reads. The one that I think I enjoyed the most was Five Total Strangers, but she has quite a few. They're all pretty short in general, and I easily find them at my library to pick up. They're great for like 48-hour readathons because I get through them so quickly and have a good time with them. Another way that I look at popcorn reads are things like manga and graphic novels. I've been working on a few different series for those. In terms of manga, I've been reading Death Note and Spy Family. These are ones that I just pick up at the library. I read them so quickly that I just pick up a few volumes at a time and then take them back and pick up a couple more. And then recently, in terms of things on my TBR, I heard someone recommend Lightfall, and this is one that I haven't read yet, but it's definitely on my pile of possibilities for this month. And lastly, a different way kind of to look at what a popcorn read is in my mind is short story collections. And one that I currently have on my TBR is 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart by Jenna Rose Nethercott, and this one is beautifully done. It's got illustrations in here as well, if you can see them, and a lot of really short stories, in addition a few that are a little bit longer. And the reason I would consider these popcorn reads is that they really are ones where you can either pop a bunch at once, or I tend to pick up a book like this and read one or two stories in between other reads during the month. Another one that I would highly recommend, one of my favorite short story collections, is Sooner or Later Everything Falls into the Sea by Sarah Pinsker. That one is a kind of sci-fi speculative collection, and it was one that really blew me away. I don't often find myself giving 5 stars to story collections because there tends to be a mix of 5-star stories and 3-star stories in any collection, because with multiple stories, there's going to be some that hit harder than others. With her collection, I really loved all of the stories in there and had a fantastic time with that. So those are my thoughts on popcorn reads. I would love to get some more recommendations from you as well. So if you have anything that you consider a fun read or a can't put down type of read, please give me any recommendations you have in the comments below. If you don't have anything to comment, but you've made it this far, maybe leave me a popcorn emoji down below. In the meantime, I would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button and subscribe if you're interested in more of my content and Kylie's, and I will catch you in the next video.